All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Colin Cowherd picks the Rams to win the NFC West. What? We'll talk a little bit about it coming up next. First, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. And this video brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, Colin Cowherd went on his show and said that the Rams are the team to beat in the NFC West, I should say. Here it is. Here's a little Cowherd, and we'll comment on it next.
The NFC West, yes, I like the Rams. I thought they had a back-to-back sensational drafts. Finished top 10 in total offense and scoring last year. I really like what they've done with their defensive front in the last two drafts. Niners are good, but they're an old, expensive football team. Watch out for injuries and the Brandon Ayuk noise. Seattle, hey, they finished 9-8. Geno Smith's good enough to win you games. They have a new staff, a new coach. I'm going to take Shanahan and McVay over the rookie coach. They're third. I love Kyler Murray, but I just don't think Arizona roster right now can compete with the rosters above them.
All right, there you go. Colin Cowherd says the Rams are going to win the NFC. The Niners are going to finish second, Seattle third, and Arizona bringing up the rear. And he says, watch out for injuries for the 49ers, and he's worried about the Ayuk situation. All right, let's talk a little bit about this division. First, why don't we start with Arizona? I do think they're the worst team in the division. They've got some good young players on defense. I mean, Elijah Jones, Dadrion Taylor Demerson, Max Melton, love Max Melton. Darius Robinson from Mizzou, thought that was a good pick. They still got Budda Baker. You've got some decent players here. I mean, Bilal Nichols, I think is a little bit underrated, former Bear, former Raider. So they've got some decent players, but defensively, they're just not there yet. And offensively, there's some nice weapons, and the offensive line's coming together. But how good's Marvin Harrison going to be right away? They're going to lean on him heavily. How healthy is Kyler Murray? Can they run the ball with Trey Benson and James Conner? I think there's enough questions about Arizona on both sides of the ball that they should be last in the division. Okay, so Cowherd likes the Rams, and he likes their defensive front. And I do understand what he's saying there. I mean, if you look at what the Rams have done up front, they added Jared Verse and they added Braden Fisk. And last year they had a great year out of Kobe Turner and Byron Young, the rookie defensive end or outside backer in the 3-4 from Tennessee, comes flying off the edge. He's a tremendous player. So you got Byron Young, and now you got Jared Verse coming off the edges in your defense. And Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown, and Braden Fisk inside, and Fisk is a high motor guy. Now, the one thing is that the Rams defense is very thin, and like they're projecting Verse and Fisk to start right away. And that's asking a lot for rookies, and they're going to miss Aaron Donald. He retired at the end of the year. That's a major, major loss. So I like if the Rams stay healthy. Yeah, I like what the Rams did in the secondary. Darius Williams is back. Cameron Curl, Tre'Davious White, Cam Kinchens in the draft, Kenny Logan from Kansas in the draft. They did some nice things there. And I love Braden Fisk's motor, and Jared Verse is an excellent edge rusher. I just think that they're a little thin. They're a little thin. Now, they're going to be able to score points. Injuries could be a factor offensively. I think their O-line's improved. But defensively, it's a long year. And you're leaning on rookies to start like they are with Fisk and Verse. I just think they're a little too thin. I'll take Seattle over the Rams because Seattle's deeper. I mean, Seattle added Byron Murphy and Tyrese Knight on defense, but they're not slated to start. They're slated to sit behind Terrell Dodson and Draymond Jones. Seattle did more in free agency. They brought in Jerome Baker. They brought in Yeshena Nwosu. They brought in Terrell Dodson. They brought in Rayshon Jenkins. I mean, they did more on the defensive side in free agency, and they get a brand new head coach and a new defensive look in Michael McDonald. It's like how far can Geno take them? Sam Howell is there if Geno falls on his face, or the Sam Howell, Geno Smith competition could be good. Noah Fant started to come on last year at tight end. You got Metcalf and Lockett. You got the second-year receiver out of Ohio State. You got Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet running the rock. So, I mean, there's some things to like. I like Seattle. To me, Seattle's the second best team in the division. I mean, because the Rams are going to have regular injuries. And if they just have regular number of injuries, they're too thin. They're too thin of a football team to suffer even just a regular amount of injuries and not really be hurt. So, I mean, if you look at the Rams, and let's talk about the Rams for a second, because I hear what Colin Cowherd is saying. You look at the Rams and you say, well, they added Jared Verse, Braden Fisk to their defensive line, and there's no question those guys are going to help. But they're both expected to start. And, you lose Aaron Donald and you're asking two rookies to start on your front four. I mean, that's asking a lot. And then, what kind of sophomore year is Byron Young going to have? I think the Rams are a classic example of a team that is, offensively, they can play from behind or ahead because Stafford can throw the ball. They can run the ball. But I think defensively, they're a team that's really built to get a lead. If they can get a lead on you, and now here comes, Braden Fisk is a pass rusher, high motor, Jared Verse, pass rusher, Byron Young, speedy edge rusher, and they've got some better depth now in the secondary with some of these veterans that they brought in. If they can get a lead on you and put a little pass rush with Verse and Byron Young, I think the Rams are going to, win some of those games. Where they're going to struggle is when teams can run it on them. There's no Aaron Donald anymore, and they have even a regular number of injuries. I think Christian Rosenboom and Ernest Jones in the middle; those guys are blockable. I don't think those are a stellar inside linebacker combination right there. So, to me, the Rams are a team that I think if you run it on them and commit to the run, you're going to beat them. But if you fall behind and it turns into, their offense has put up 30 and you're struggling, and here you got to throw the ball in the second half and they know it. And here comes Fisk, and here comes Verse, and here comes Young, and you got all these DBs in the back end hunting picks. I think the Rams could win some games if they, they're going to be a tough team to come from behind against in the second half. I think that part is really clear. If the Rams get a lead on you, you're going to have a hard time coming back on them, because they do have some really good speed rushers in Verse and Young and Fisk, and they really do have some outstanding DBs, even though they're veterans. I mean, we don't know exactly what Tre'Davious White still has at this point, but Cam Curl's not old. Darius Williams has coming off a real nice year in Jacksonville. They re-signed John Johnson. I liked Cam Kinchins quite a bit at University of Miami. So, it's good. Kenny Logan's a big-time hitter. I don't know of his coverage ability, but he's a real hitter. Once again, if the Rams can get a lead and force teams into obvious passing situations, I think it's going to be a good year for them. But I expect that they're a little too thin. Teams will have a little too much success running on them once the injuries start to mount, and they'll finish third inside the NFC West. Niners 1, Seattle 2, Rams 3, Arizona's 4. All right, tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to our special friends at Underdog Fantasy as well for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.